Hi, it's Fook, and it's about time. So, it's about time is basically trying to journal my fatFIRE journey, which I am on track for, and hopefully will be able to hit pretty soon. But as most of you watching, you're probably familiar with the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early. And within that, you have different flavors such as leanFIRE and fatFIRE. And I'm on a fatFIRE journey, which basically means that uh, you have expenses of more than $100,000 a year. And that's after tax. So you kind of have to take the tax situation into account. But I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are curious about what a fatFIRE budget could potentially look like. So today I'm going to open it up and just kind of show you my real budget. It's not even a budget, it's real spend over the past year. So, a little background before we start. I live in San Diego, California, which is a pretty high cost of living area. In the area that I'm in, homes are anywhere between 1.3 to 1.7 million dollars. My house is kind of right in the middle there at 1.4 million. So it's not the most expensive house in the neighborhood, and it's not the least expensive house. Now, if you're coming from, say, the Midwest or the South, you may look at, my home and say that's just ridiculous. And it kind of is, but it's pretty normal for San Diego. For most parts of San Diego, a decent home is going to start in the high 700s and kind of go up from there. If you're in something less than that, it's probably a townhome or in an area of town that you're really not going to be interested in living in unless you have to. So that just gives some context on my background so that you can kind of put some of these expenses into context. So what I do is I track my spending pretty religiously, and I store it in detail here in all of going back, almost 10 years now. But because of the tracking, I'm able to categorize the expenses and kind of see where things go. So let's kind of go and take a look at what's going on over the past 12 months. If we scroll down here, I know these numbers are really small. Let me see if I can make these bigger. And hopefully we can see it a little bit better. Let's see here. All right, here we go. So over the past year, 12 months, I've been spending on average, and this is, pandemic and all that, on average about $8,300 a month. So if I highlight all this, my average is $8,365 a month. And that works out to be about $100,000 for the year. The one thing that's missing from all of this is travel. So basically in the last year, I did not do any travel. And on average, I would say that I travel maybe 2 to 3 times a year on personal trips. And at least one of those trips, if not more, would be an international trip. And they can be expensive. So to be fair, you should probably add, I'm going to say, $20,000 to $25,000 to this grand total to really get a fatFIRE budget, at least for me. And for me, it's just me and the dog. So there's not another person. There's not, kids to feed or daycare or any of that. So really, it's just me. So let's go and look at the categories in more detail. And again, I apologize. I haven't had a chance to adjust some of these. So for the video, it may look small, but I'll try to make it bigger so you can see. So this is actually for the full month of July, which has just passed. And you can see that my biggest expense was the mortgage. And technically, my mortgage is only about $2,400. I have a lot of equity in the house, but I am making an extra payment because I do want to accelerate a little bit. I'm not really in a hurry to pay it off because the fixed rate is quite low at 2.5% over 30 years. And I think that my money is better used to invest and all of that. But I still want to accelerate the payments just a little bit. So I am adding to that. When you look at this, anything that's in red is kind of like, must spend, so to speak. So that's things like mortgage. This is the property insurance. So this is a little bit unusual because I have high property insurance, and there's actually 2 payments. One of them was due in July, so that's why it's the second highest expense. and then have groceries and home maintenance and things like that. But generally, for the mortgage, home maintenance, the utilities, the property tax, and all of that, I would say that I'm all in probably about $50,000 a year, which is great because it's a lot less of my income than you want to allocate to housing. So I think that the rule of thumb is to keep your housing under 25% of your income, and I'm way under that. So even though it's really high, it's still way below that, which is great, which allows me to have more money to invest and grow my wealth. The one thing that jumps out for me in July is that grocery was sitting at $600 basically. That's really not true. It's usually around $350 to $400. But I did spend some money on Japanese A5 Wagyu in July at $100 a pound, so I splurged, and it was higher than normal. But this is unusual. It's usually around $350, $400. I don't eat out all that much, so you can kind of see the rest of these expenses here. But for July, let me see what it totaled up to. It was $8,500, so just a little bit above the $8,360 that I normally spend. In terms of spending for, the past 12 years, here's how it averaged out. It's pretty lumpy. There are certainly months where it's a lot lower than the $8,300, and then there are other months where I have property tax payments, insurance, or whatever, and it shoots it, way up. But normally it's sitting right around this line right here, 8,300 or so. If I were to change this trend line to something else, let's call it just, I wonder if I can just do an average, if I can do a linear. See, linear doesn't quite work, so we'll just leave it at average, but it averages 83.65. We already saw that. So when I go into the spending, again, this is tiny. You really can't see this. But, here's my Costco Japanese A5 Wagyu. That trip to Costco was $322 alone. So that made up a huge portion of the grocery bill for the month. But normally it's not that high. I had alluded to before that in order to take home $100,000, you're going to have to, withdraw a bit more if you're in drawdown. So I do have a retirement tax calculator that I can use to plan things out. So I know that, under the current regime, I can only deduct $10,000 of state and local taxes, even though I pay a lot more. That's all I can take out. And then my mortgage interest is, about $9,500 a year, so call it $10,000. So I do itemize because as a single person, I think the exemption is like $12,000. It's higher than it was, but I'm better off taking itemized deduction. So in order to pull out $100,000, you're going to have to withdraw from your portfolio about $125,000. So these are based off of real current tax brackets for California and federal. So if I were to, let's say, have a full year where I take a couple of trips, one international trip, I'm probably going to have to take out like $160,000 out of the retirement account to kind of maintain that spending level. Well, that's a lot more, 160, 123. So yeah, if I take out 160, I'm bringing home 122, which should cover the travel as well. That's kind of the minimum for, a fatFIRE lifestyle in San Diego that would be enjoyable. Certainly not luxurious and first class all the time, but extremely comfortable, that's for sure. And if you're doing, any type of fire, fat, lean, or regular fire, you're going to have a pretty long retirement. So what I have here is an implied portfolio withdrawal rate of 3.5%, just because I don't think that, in a long retirement, you want to do something like a 4%. Maybe you can, but just to be conservative, I did an implied portfolio of 3.5% safe withdrawal rate, which equates to about $4.5 million in terms of nest egg. So in any case, that is the fatFIRE budget and I hope you find it useful. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment. If you enjoy the video, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Later.